Robin, welcome back to the podcast. I am so excited that you're back, and I just been waiting for this because I've got a whole bunch of questions that I'm going to just pick your brain. Nothing in particular, nothing that's I know, and you're all about challenges, but this podcast will not be a challenge in any way, shape, or form.
Well,
So,
I'm
so
so happy.
yeah, I'm so glad you're here. So glad
Thank
you're here.
you.
And I must say, I got to tell the listener, they got to get their tower garden. Okay.
Did you and Cindy put it together? You put it together,
I,
right?
I've got it put together. I have nothing growing in it yet, but it
Okay.
looks good standing there.
Yep.
So,
All right.
so it just makes me feel healthy.
Well, I'm going to check in with you next week, Tim. You need to get the seeds in the rock wool and get it started because you'll
I,
be surprised at how quickly it grows, and then you can start enjoying the
yeah,
healthy greens instead of just
yeah.
looking at it.
I'm actually going to take a picture the first time I pick something off that tower garden and just eat it. That's what I'm
Excellent.
going to do. That's what I'm
Be
waiting
sure
to
to
do.
tag me in that photo. I want to definitely see that.
Yeah, and don't and the listeners, don't forget, you contact Robin, you get 10% off your tower garden, and I'm telling you,
Absolutely.
she's good about that. So
Thank
uh,
you.
everybody needs a tower garden. I can tell you that.
I agree.
Okay,
I have three. So
so so uh, we talked about last week or the couple of weeks ago when I interviewed Steve Boris. Great interview. If people hadn't listened to that, I really highly recommend they go back, listen to his interview and his deal. We really talked about perseverance a lot. And I wanted to get you on here because this is February, and February is kind of the um relationships, Valentine's Day, but it's kind of, I wanted it to carry over and talk about perseverance as well because um, you from what I know about you and what I've seen that you've put on social media, you are really, when it comes to perseverance, someone who perseveres through all of these challenges. Okay, I'm going to let you talk, but I got to tell you, the first time I noted Robin Eisenbeis, the first time I noticed her in the BYLR group, we were doing a plank challenge, and I was doing wall planks. Remember that?
I do. I'm like, what's a wall plank? You got to show it to me.
Well, just visualize me standing on a wall with my hands on the wall. Okay.
Exactly.
Robin was doing planks, and like if it was the 23rd, she had to do it for 23 minutes.
That's right.
And so every day she would do a plank. Now I'm gotten to where I can do a plank now. I can do a regular
Yeah.
plank. All right.
That's a huge accomplishment for a lot of people. That is very difficult. So,
Yeah.
Tim,
It,
high
it
five.
it's horribly difficult. I did one yesterday. I did three.
Oh,
1 minute apiece. But anyway, it's not about me. It's about Robin. But you did these every day, so you persevered through this plank challenge. That's the first time I noticed you, and I thought, okay, I got to interview this person because anybody that just decides, okay, I'm going to do this every day and post it.
yes, I did for 1 month, the month of March. Was it March or May? It was 31 days.
It
I think it
was
was
31 days.
Yes. Of course, I could have chosen February. That would have been a little bit easier, but
Yeah, I would have.
it was one of those challenges, and there were others in the community. I don't know if others did the full, like every day, like I did, but remember, I started raising money with Dan and Jack Visquenza,
Yep.
and so for $1 for every minute, and I think it was so much greater than me and me trying to make that 31. In fact, on day 31, I'm doing the plank and I'm sweating, and my youngest daughter, the field hockey player at UNC, made this great playlist for me, and I'm like, I'm going to go 35 minutes because I wanted to break that 31 record. And so my plank record is 35 minutes now. So, and
Well,
we raised, I think, over $1,600. Maybe even, I don't remember exactly. It was over $1,600 for Dan and Jack's charity. So yeah, it was
yeah,
pretty cool.
That's great. And I'll tell you, that's a 365 podcast plank record that will probably go unbroken.
If it gets broken, I will challenge that person.
I know. I may just lie about it and say I broke it just so I make you do one for
I need to see a video.
that ain't happening. Okay. So I got to ask the question. Um, I thought about this the other day and I thought, okay, I'm going to ask Robin this question. What's the one thing in your life that has taken the most perseverance, and what did you learn and how did it make you a better person?
Hmm. Well, it's really interesting. What came to mind because I was taking some note, right, kind of brainstorming this morning about perseverance, and the first thing that came to mind, you will not even believe what I'm going to share because it relates to this month of love. It's how long I waited for Charlie Eisenbeis to notice me at St. Olaf College. So, do you want me to tell that story?
Yeah, tell that story. That's great.
Yeah. So my mom, I was a freshman in college at St. Olaf College in Northfield, Minnesota, small 3,000 students. And we were loading things, my mom and dad, we were loading things up to my dorm. And she saw this guy walk by and he was there early to play soccer. And she's like, well, he sure is cute. And I've never heard my mom say that about any guy. And so I kind of registered him, but I didn't know who he was. And so that whole freshman year and the whole next year, I kept trying for this guy to notice me. And so he wasn't noticing me because supposedly he was dating a French model. I heard later she was a hand model, but whatever. And she did not really leave him in France. But anyway, so I started hanging out with his friends, and then he went to England and I went to Switzerland. And so it was Charlie's graduation day, and I wrote him a graduation card. And I said, and mailed it to his house to Mankato, Minnesota. And he opened it, and his mom said, what is that? And he said, oh, it's a graduation card from somebody at St. Olaf that I kind of know. Her name is Robin Kimball. And she wants to get together in Minneapolis. And Charlie's mom said, Charlie, you need to call this girl. I've always wanted you to marry somebody who went to St. Olaf College. And so he did. And it was pretty crazy because our first date, I gave Charlie and myself food poisoning, Tim.
Oh.
He came over to help me like move some furniture. I moved into a older lady's home. She's going to India for the summer. And she told me, eat anything in the pantry. So when Charlie came over, I'm like, I can make some pasta. Like, I'll add some clams that were in a can that were probably like 10 years old. And, we both got very, very sick and it was terrible. But you know what? He still asked me out the next day. And I was like, okay.
Well, maybe he was delirious. Maybe.
Yeah, we've been married 31 years now, and it just so it took some time. He was definitely not the one to come after, like to ask me out. I kind of had to make that. So to me, that is total perseverance
It
because it
is.
was like 4 years from when I first noticed him until when we actually went on a date, and yeah, the rest is history.
And so it made you a better person because now you read expiration dates on clam cans.
Yes. In fact, neither of us have had a clam since that was in 1986. That was 19, yeah, a long time ago. But yeah, that kind of ruined clams for me. But I do look
Yeah.
at dates.
Yeah. That's a great story. Great story. And
Thank you.
I think this month, especially people who have connected with someone who they really, um, you know, Cindy and I have been married 45 years or 46.
Congratulations.
Okay. 45. Anyway, we've been married 45, 46 years. The way we met was crazy. I'll just give you the short version of it. Her church came to my church. She lived in Oklahoma. I lived in Missouri. Her church came to my church. Uh, I really hadn't been going to church, but that day I was there. I saw her. We connected all week. We were together all week. We really weren't supposed to be together all week, but we were together all week. She was 15, I was 19.
Wow.
Uh, we never dated. She went back to Oklahoma. We wrote back and forth for about a year. Then for 2 years, we never talked. And then in March of my senior year of college, I picked the phone up and called her and said, I'm coming out to Oklahoma. And
Wow.
so she told me I was crazy. Everybody already knew that.
Uh-huh.
So didn't bother me. So I went to Oklahoma that weekend after I had played a baseball game. Went to Oklahoma and sitting in her driveway, I said, we're going to get married in August.
Wow. And you did.
And we did. And we got married in August. And she told me I was crazy again. She actually told me I was really crazy. And I said, so uh, we been married 45 years, got 3 kids, 7 grandkids, and she's the best and the biggest blessings I've ever had in my life.
Mhm.
No doubt. I wouldn't be sitting here today if it wasn't for her.
Oh, I love
So,
it. Make sure she
and I
listens
know
to
you and
this.
Charlie, I want to get in, I may skip over because I want to get into this because we're talking about Charlie and 29029. Okay.
Yes,
You're doing that together.
correct.
All right. Now, if I'm correct in this, if I'm not, just tell me I'm wrong, but Charlie's not a big challenge guy, is he? I mean, he isn't one. I mean, he's not a.
He
Is he
doesn't
going?
he's very modest. He doesn't share when he does big things, but he's climbed he's biked some big mountains. He's run a marathon. He has done, but you hear more from me just because that's who I am. So
Yeah, yeah. And
he's
so,
actually he's in good shape, but this challenge is making both of us be in better shape. So
okay, so 29029 is walking up and down this mountain, uh, and the
13 times.
290, yeah, the 29029 is the distance of Mount Everest. Is
Correct.
that
So
correct?
it's yep. So we're climbing August. What is the date? August 19th and 20th of this coming year, Snow Basin in Utah. And so it's one mountain that we climb 2.3 miles up, and we take a gondola down, and you turn right. You keep going up until so there's 7 summits, and you have a vest, and you get a check every time you hit the summit. But every time you do a climb, they have a huge wooden board, and I've only seen this on social media and videos. And you have a branding iron, and Colleen Rue, who's the voice of the mountain, she's at the bottom, and you get to put a stamp. It's a mountain. So there's 13, boxes, and every mountain, every climb, you mark that. So so
And
we went to Georgia last week to hike part of the Appalachian Mountain, and we had a lot of snow. It was super fun. It was beautiful, and because we're just trying to expose ourselves to a lot of different types, and it's a higher altitude. So altitude is going to be probably a challenge for us because we live in North Carolina,
mhm.
and the altitude at the top is like 8,500 feet above sea level. So Georgia was like at 4,500. So I didn't notice anything. I felt fine. But we're planning to arrive a couple days early just to acclimate, and we are so excited. It's going to be a huge challenge.
Yeah, and so when people think about this and they think about going up this mountain, and what I've seen, I've watched, you know, followed it a couple of times. This is not a hill, and this is not just a gradual incline. This is almost just straight up. And
Correct. Yeah.
I mean, you've got to use the walking sticks, and you got to have the right equipment and all that. But it's a challenge. I mean, it's not something that. Uh, so my question I've got, what have you and Charlie learned about each other during your training that's made your relationship stronger by training together?
That's a really good question. Um, is it okay if I just go back and explain one
Yeah.
thing first?
Yeah.
So it's called 29029 Everesting. So it's named after Mount Everest, which is the highest mountain in the world, which is equivalent to 29,029 feet, or that is 29,029
Yeah.
feet. So this is the equivalence of that. So just want to make sure that's where that 29029 comes in.
Yeah.
So for Charlie and I, um, one thing that we've noticed, so I am a morning person. I don't know, you you probably know this, Tim, from my messages. I get up at 4 a.m., like 4:30, and I mean, I have a very productive day into, I mean, like 10 o'clock, and I've already done a lot. And Charlie, he's a doctor. He's used to not getting a lot of sleep, but he is a night owl. And so he will, stay up pretty late. What is it, 4 a.m.?
4:06 a.m. I got a message from you.
So
Not
sorry.
just a message,
Oh,
a
no.
vocal message.
It's
Luckily, I didn't read it at
well,
4:06,
I
but
hope it
anyway.
didn't. I hope your phone is turned off at night.
Yeah, it's not even in the same room, but,
That's good.
uh, yeah,
So I think
here's
for us, that's probably the biggest challenge is just because we work out at 5 a.m. That's our non-negotiable. We work out every morning at 5 a.m. So some mornings he's a little bit more tired because he hasn't gotten enough sleep. If he's on call and he's getting called all night, but he still gets up. And it's just a commitment we've made. And that's why we chose to do this, challenge, because there were many mornings before we signed up for 29029 Everesting that we, would look at each other like, oh, let's just sleep a little bit more. I didn't do that a lot, but he did.
yeah,
And but now there's just like we just do it. It's just a habit. And
yeah.
that's been
And
really good for
you
us.
think it's a habit you'll take forward? Do you think it
Oh yeah. I think
yeah,
I think I mean, it's too hard to work out after he's seeing patients all day. So it's the only time we can really work out. And we do
mhm,
like to work out together. We run together and hike together. And it's kind of
yeah,
unusual. You
yeah,
know, a lot of couples don't, but I used to have a running group when I lived in Chicago, and actually in Cary is a group of girlfriends. And that was always really fun too. But it is really nice to run, with your partner.
yeah. Yeah, Cindy and I have done some 5Ks together, and they are a lot of fun. Her, the biggest problem her and I have is she walks faster than I run. So, so it does become a little bit of a challenge for me. I feel like I'm sprinting. Um, but anyway, and for the people who don't know, Charlie is a doctor at the University of North Carolina, and so his stress levels probably off the charts a lot of times. So
Well, it is.
uh,
He's an oncologist and hematologist, so it's a really intense job that he has, and
yeah,
especially with the pandemic and a lot of emotions. So he always says he feels better
yeah,
on the days, now that we're running consistently. But before, he would say he would run better. He would just feel better after he's worked out.
yeah,
Just that stress level
yeah,
helps.
yeah. So talking about challenges, why do you think? Uh, what kind of mindset does a person have to have when you go into a challenge? I mean, let's go back to the plank challenge.
Hmm.
When you decided, okay, I'm going to do this, one of the things I find very interesting that I'm not good at, that I need to overcome, is my fear of people thinking I'm crazy or thinking I'm weird or something. But it seems like when you did the plank challenge and you posted those things every day on Instagram or Facebook, wherever it was at, you know, what kind of mindset did you have to have, or did you have going into that you were going to do that every day and you were going to complete the challenge and you were going to complete it in a good way, if not a great way? Uh, what kind of mindset did you have going into that, and going into what you're doing now with the 29029?
Well, and I have So my daughter, I'm going to relate this back to a gift that Dorrit, the field hockey player, gave me. I don't even know, like 5 or 6 years ago for Christmas. And it's a jar. It's sitting on my kitchen counter, and it's filled with all these little sticky notes. And some are from her. Some she asked, people, family members, um, for different questions. And ironically, after you asked me to speak for your podcast, I pulled out one of the yellow cards and it said, "You never give up on anything." I mean, that was like meant to be like for me to share that today. And that's just how I go into everything I do is I'm committed. When I say I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it. And I don't know, like for 29 Charlie and I are both committed to getting a red hat, which is when you reach the very top on that 13th climb.
Yeah. And do you think that by going into something with that kind of mindset, you probably never even think about what if or what is plan B, you
Yeah,
know?
I don't. I mean, I know it's good to have plan B, but for something that I'm very vocal about, where I've committed on social media with my friends and family, and really for our kids, I
Yeah.
want them to see that I set a goal and I win. I do not quit. I'm going to make it happen.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, and I just think that is so, the influence that you have not only on your kids, but the people around you, people that follow you and all that is, uh, I mean, it's probably, I'm not I'm not going to put any pressure on you, but it's pressure, but here it is. You probably don't realize how big an influence you do have on
mm,
people because
well,
of what
thank
you're
you.
doing and because of the things that you have accomplished, because you're not a pro athlete.
No,
Uh, you're not, what you are is, you're a mom, uh, you're a daughter, you're a wife, you're a friend. You have a busy schedule. You're a business person, so you do have every opportunity to say, okay, I'm too busy, or I'm too this, or I'm too that. But your mindset doesn't allow you to do that, does it?
it doesn't. And also, you probably feel this way as well when people listen to a podcast and then they will see you or send you a message. Listening to that changed my life. And that's how it's funny when I first started, doing these challenges and I'd post, a story, I would get messages from people saying, "Hey, I'm doing this with you." They were quiet about it, but they were doing it. And I don't know if you saw recently where there's a family, she's a veterinarian, and also a tower garden, like they have like 50 tower gardens, like a huge greenhouse. And she and her husband do this full time now, and they deliver greens to restaurants, and it's really cool. But she and her husband decided the month of January that they would do Robin's. It's really Lori Wittenek's
Mm-hmm.
plank challenge. Or I'm not sure, maybe it's Mitch's or Jesse's,
Yeah.
somebody in the BYLR group, and I'm like, wow, this is so cool. Like their whole family's doing this. And then another family was tagging me in these pictures or videos. And that just makes you feel really good. Like you are helping others get healthier.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. It is a good feeling to know because a lot of times, like with this podcast, I'm not, I'm not too aware if it's, how many people are listening to it. I get some numbers every now and then. But but if you get one, that's all that really matters, and so but it also makes you aware that the product that you put out there and the version of yourself that you're putting out there matters,
oh, thank you.
and
Well,
that
I
it
remember
really does.
the month of December, I don't have a Peloton, but Robin, her name is also Robin. she started this challenge, hashtag 3 and 31. And I looked into it. And so it's every day running, walking, cycling 3 miles. And you did it.
I did it.
And
Yeah,
a lot of people did that. And, it was just me like sharing on my story, like, hey, who's in? Who wants to do three? And wasn't it a great challenge?
it was. And what I liked about that challenge was at that point in time, and I'm going to share with you my newest challenge here in just a minute. That I've this will be the day I put this out publicly because I've been holding back.
Oh, I'm
But in
excited, Tim.
December, I was at a point in time when I needed a challenge.
Hmm.
And so when I saw you were doing that, I thought, okay. So it was, and what I liked about it was I was in no position to go out and run 3 miles every day. I mentally and physically, I just wasn't there. But I did. I'd go out and walk or run or bike or do my, elliptical or something every day. I did that. And I just thought, I'm glad I did. And then I kind of decided, okay, I'm going to take it up a notch. Anyway, but we'll get into that later. I don't
Okay,
want to.
I do want to hear. We're going to come back to that, Tim.
Yeah. And the question that I've got, do you do something every day to help challenge you physically and mentally? Is that kind of the goal, or does it just kind of happen? Or do you plan that you're going to do something every day to challenge yourself physically and mentally? And I say mentally because I feel like that's how we continue to grow. Uh, I think mentally we sometimes put that on the back burner,
Right.
but I believe that we should be growing every day. So
I
do you?
when I'm not learning new things, I there's just that not there's that excitement is gone. Like I love my Charlie just sent me a message and he's like, "Hey, do you want to learn how to be a brewer?" I'm like, I don't really even drink beer that often, but he wants to go, and it's in our building. We live right downtown Durham in Durham, North Carolina, and I'm like, "Well, that sounds cool," and like tapping into. I don't know if you were on Jesse's coaching call yesterday, Jesse Itzler. It was incredible. And that's what I love about being a part of, you know, communities like that where you're always learning. And it was neat because he opened it up to questions after and he really cares about these people and how they can succeed. And it's not really all about this, really more personal, not so much business.
Yeah,
It's what are they doing? So I do journal. I don't say every morning, but I try to
yeah,
most mornings. I've been dreaming a lot, and so I like to record, my dreams. And I also am like this month. The challenge with our community is drinking enough water. Like I'm drinking 70 ounces of water every day. Um, and the other challenge, not challenge, but the other thing that I try to do every day is FaceTime my kids.
yeah,
Really like to see, and we do Snapchat, and that's good with some. I have 3 children. I didn't say that this time, but Oliver's 25, Lydia is 23, and our youngest Dorit is 20. And Snapchat's a great way just so I know when they're awake and they kind of like, do they look like they're happy? Is everything good? But to really FaceTime them and have just a short conversation with them. That's been my new vitamin because there's just so much right now. And I think we just need to really, as parents, check
yeah,
in on our kids.
yeah. I agree. And sometimes we don't do. I don't do that enough. Um, so. Uh, but I understand the importance of it. I really do. I'm going to say this. I haven't said this on the podcast, but I'll say it because I want to say this. My mom and dad are both passed away, and uh, my mom and dad. We were close, but I lived in Oklahoma. They lived in Missouri, and I've lived in Oklahoma longer than I've lived anywhere now.
Hmm.
But I didn't realize how much I would miss my daily conversations or my weekly conversations with my mom and dad until they were gone.
Mhm.
And so my challenge to everyone that still has their parents, either one or both, is to make sure every day that you appreciate them while they're here. Because when they're gone, you're really going to understand that they were important in your life more so, even if your relationship with them is not on every, live in the same town, or you may think it's not close. But I found out, uh, my mom and we were, I think we were so much alike, we didn't like each other.
Mhm.
But, but toward the end, she learned to appreciate me, and I really learned to appreciate her. And that's where I got my love of Hallmark movies. There
Oh,
it, there it, there
that's
it is.
it.
Anyway, but
You know how
I want,
great when you watch Hallmark movies, you think of her. I love
yeah,
that.
well, yeah, I do. But I shouldn't have said that. Now people are
Yeah.
going to, but I really want to say that this month, because your relationship with your parents is not always going to be there.
Yeah.
And
Well, I don't know. I believe you know, but I don't know if your listeners know. But um, my dad passed, it'll be 1 year next Tuesday, February 8th.
yeah,
And when I woke up this morning, I was really pretty emotional about just really missing him. And because we had a really great relationship. And yeah, so I do. I call my mom every day. Sometimes she doesn't, she doesn't leave a lot of messages. I don't know where she always is, but she doesn't have her phone handy. But it's like just making the time. And
yeah,
my mom's 85, and it's just, it is really important. As I mentioned, Charlie and I are going next month to visit, and um,
yeah,
it's, yeah, we have to do that. It's just
yeah,
because, like you said, you miss them so much. And I've heard it gets worse the longer it goes on. Like, this is 1 year. I don't know if that's true, but it's just like I can't even imagine it getting any worse. But
yeah.
um,
I don't know. In my case, I think there's a lot of days I wish I could talk to my mom or my dad. My dad was my role model when it come to work ethic. Uh,
mm,
and I did a podcast real early about the things I learned from him. I mean, he had the same job for 70 something years.
wow.
Uh, went to work 7 to 5 every day for 70 something years.
What was his job?
He worked in, like, it was a mom and pop, like Lowe's home
Okay.
improvement place.
Uh-huh.
He started when he was 16 and worked until he was almost 80.
That
And
is incredible. Wow.
he was the only baseball coach I ever had until I got
Mm.
into college. And so I miss him. But my mom, the relationship her and I had, we could just talk on the phone, we could just talk. She was,
Mhm.
but and people who knew her. And the one thing I've really learned from her is the fact how important friends are.
Mm.
It's She had so many friends that she talked to every day, that connected, called her on the phone. She never had a cell phone, always had her landline, and she would always talk to somebody on the phone. So, it's important. All right. Now I want to get back to you.
Okay.
Tell us about your upcoming book.
Oh, this
Unless you,
is so
unless you don't want to
exciting.
talk about that. If you don't want to talk about it,
No, you're
eh,
the first podcast I'm actually talking about my book. So I'm honored. I'm like so excited that it's with you, Tim.
yeah.
So the book is called A Gift for Life, and it's skills everyone needs to win at life. I've targeted really more for college graduates. However, the skills everyone should know. So remembering names, um, money, vision, like dreaming, and being out in nature and doing adventures. So those are the four powers and skills. And it will be published this month. So by the end of February, I will send you a signed copy, Tim.
Thank you
And
very much.
yes,
Yep.
I'm just really excited, especially with the year, as I just mentioned. I
Yeah.
actually started um, Lori Wintonek, my coach,
Hmm.
I had told her my goal was to write a book, and it's changed from that, a year ago, what I was planning to write on. And I connected with Jim House. He's well known in the community with Book Carver. And we spent 2.5 days of just really figuring out the outline of my book. And then I went to work. I just, every day I wrote an
Hmm.
hour, every single day, just consistently. And, and now it's already gone to the copy editor. I'm working with the layout and design person. One of my dreams this morning, well, not one of my dreams, but my dream this morning was how I want the cover to look. And I can't wait for you to see it. So I'm super excited about it. I interviewed quite a few people, and I really started off with the mindset that this is for our 3 children.
Yeah.
But I'm hoping my vision is to speak at universities, colleges, to seniors who are ready to start their first job, graduate students, and really help them be successful. Make these steps. And so, yeah.
Well, if I believe this, if there's ever a person that could tell someone, you know, what you just said, it would be you, because I mean, you are the epitome of, I don't know if people remember the first podcast, but you were an auctioneer.
Correct.
Unbelievable. I
I
still
actually
that
talk
I
about that in my book a little bit.
and
Yeah, fine art
but
auctioneer.
yeah, and how many people before you graduated from college sit down with you and told you what you probably need to know, or gave you? Nobody told me that. I
Well, I
mean,
do like to give my parents a lot of credit, and I talk about them in my book because they both were very successful entrepreneurs, and they taught me. In fact, my dad gave me my twin and I, the best gift he could have ever given us for our high school graduation. It was a course on remembering names
oh
with Dale
yeah,
Carnegie. And that changed my life forever because people always will compliment me. How do you remember so many people's names? Because it does, it makes them feel so important.
yeah, yeah.
I just met the cleaning. We have in our building a cleaning person, and she doesn't speak English, but I wanted to know her name, and I found out it was Esther after we tried to spell it because I thought she was saying Esta. I couldn't figure it out. And every time I see her now, I'm like, "Hi, Esther, how are you?" And she may not. She just smiles, but it makes people feel so good. And
Yeah,
and my mom, a huge networker, and my mom is the money person. I learned everything I know about money from my mom, which was pretty unusual she's
yeah,
85. Um, but she had, you'll learn about it in my book, but um, she taught my twin and I all that how we manage our money. And it's
yeah,
really very successful. So, but thank you.
yeah.
It's a
And
really generous and nice compliment. I appreciate that, Tim.
well, I can't wait to read the book, and I can't wait to share it. And I hope, I know it'll be a big success, because I mean, first of all, it's needed, and secondly, you're doing it because it's a passion that you have. It's not, you're not doing it for any other reason other than you want to do it, and you said for your kids,
Right.
and yeah, it's that's a great thing. So, was it self published, or did you use a
I'm
publisher?
working with Ingram Spark, so it'll be sold through Amazon, Barnes and Noble. It'll be on Kindle, so it's gonna be a
Wow.
hardcover. Yeah,
Well, needless to
it's a
say,
gift book. It's gonna be small, like
after
a
it,
kid's gift book.
yeah, after it's published, you will definitely have to come back on here, because
I would love that.
I've had other authors on here, and so I
Well,
like to
he's
talk to
Steve.
them
I
about their
just
books.
yeah.
So,
And for your listeners, if any of the listeners are close with the college where they attended, their career services department,
mhm,
that's who I really want to talk to because I want to, come in and speak to
yeah,
them, no charge, just to speak with them, 50 minutes and share what I've learned to them. So
yeah,
I
definitely,
love that.
definitely. Well, I have listening to you talk, the listener, it's obvious you're not somebody that's sitting around watching a lot of TV and eating, you're not just sitting around. I mean,
Right.
that's obvious. And there's a lot of people that are busy, but what motivates you every day? What,
Hmm.
what motivates you? Because every day is probably you got something different. We're going to get into the planning and all that here in a minute.
Right.
But what motivates you?
Hmm. I want to be better every day. I mean, I want to be a better version of myself. And I know Jesse talked about this yesterday, and I believe I try to do that every day.
Yeah,
So, I wake up and I want to be a better Robin Kimball Eisenbeis than the day
yeah,
before.
yeah. Okay, I got it. Here's $1 million question that I have debated uh, for a long time. And this year being 2022, one of the things that I have set a goal for myself, and I'm going to ask you about your goal setting here in a minute, because people have mixed views about whether we need to set goals or not. But I'm going to go back to my days when I worked at Weight Watchers.
Okay.
Uh, when I worked for Weight Watchers, and men or women, either one, would come and they would start the program, we would always sit down and visit with them, talk to them about their goals and that sort of thing, what their weight goal was. And inevitably, when I would talk to them about their time commitment and ask them, okay, what do you do during the day? It was always my kids, my husband or my wife, my job, my family, my uh, Rotary Club, Optimist Club, whatever. That they'd start
Mhm.
listing all these things. And I would always look at them and say, well, you've left out one very important ingredient:
Health, yourself.
yourself,
Yeah.
yourself. And here's what my question is: is it wrong? Okay, now you got to understand, I'm going to come from a spiritual part of this a little bit, in the fact that, is it wrong that we put ourselves first? Is it wrong that does when does it where's the line of selfishness and responsibility to oneself?
Hmm. I mean, what came to mind is put the oxygen mask on first, right?
Yep.
If you don't
Yeah.
take care of your own self, I mean, when our kids were young, I still was up running at 5 like in Chicago, minus 20 was our temperature gauge. If it was minus 20 on the thermometer, we would run. If it was minus 21, we didn't. But and then my kids were tiny. So, but that was I knew I needed to do that for me to be the best mom I could be. So, I think we all need to do that. I now that I'm doing this training and I can talk about that later. We're doing 2 half marathons. One is a family out at Martha's Vineyard, a whole family, all 5 of us. But I'm doing like sports medicine massage every 2 weeks, like 90 minutes.
Hmm.
And I know that I need that. And um, I don't know. I think we just have to look at how we feel the best. And when we're happy, um, you know,
Yeah. And I always kind of
everything
look at
is
things from the reverse. Um, if we weren't taking care of ourselves and we didn't feel good physically and mentally, what would that look like as far as taking care of the people around us? And I've always said this and when I first started the podcast, the opening was, does God care about do if we take care of our bodies? Does he care? Does our spiritual goals, is that our physical goals, does he care about those? And I finally have come to the conclusion that absolutely he cares, because he's the one that gave it to us. So we take care of the body that he gave us. And if we can't, then we're not going to be of service to him or anyone else. And so that got me to thinking back in December, when I was kind of in a funk, that I need to take care of myself. And so that's what 2022 became for me. Okay, 2022 is I'm going to take care of myself, but that's going to make everybody around me better.
100% agree. Yep.
Because and I think being the best version of ourselves, and I will carry that a step further, saying being the best version of the person that God made us,
Mhm.
I think is should be our purpose, to be
I
the
agree.
best version. And we have to do that every day.
Right.
You know,
Yep.
when I first started Mind, Body, and Soul, it was just mind, body, and soul. It's all it was. And then
Hmm.
it dawned on me one day that it has to be every day.
365, just like your
You,
hat. Yep.
yeah. You can't do something as important as taking care of your mind, your body, and soul and do it 2 or 3 times a week.
Right.
You have to do it every day. And I think, when that happens, it becomes a habit, then it becomes you, you know.
Right.
And I'm a firm believer that everything about us starts in the mind, works its way down, becomes who we are. And so, uh, you know, but my question to you also is, how do you do that? How do you juggle all that you do every day? How do you do that? I mean,
I've
that's
done it. I mean, I'm a time blocker. Like one of my neighbors asked me, she's like, "How do you get so much done in a day?" And if you see my calendar, I have different colors, on my phone, and
yeah,
that I time block things. So I know, you know, it's a non-negotiable from 8 to 9 is my writing time. I work out 5 to 6, sometimes 6:30, depending on what I do. Um, I do my business, 10 to noon. So I have those blocks. If I, am meeting somebody, I can do it this time. And, we have date night. That's on our calendar once a week. Um, I have lunch dates with my kids, the two that are here, so it's scheduled. Nothing happens. And I guess sometimes drive people crazy because I'm so much to the, okay, we're talking not around 10, we're talking at 10 a.m.
yeah,
But that's how I am because time goes by too fast.
yeah,
And so, it's respectful too, I think.
yeah. Was it your calendar that I saw on somewhere, your yearly calendar that had all the different colored sticky
Yes.
notes on it?
It's in my office. Yeah, that's my the calendar club. But I mentioned Jesse Itzler a lot because I've learned so much from him. But he always talks about playing offense. You plan your family, your life first, then the business comes.
Mhm.
So I can see on this calendar, this is when I'm going to Florida to visit my mom. This is when we're doing the Martha's Vineyard half marathon with the whole family.
Yeah.
Um, it just gives your year a purpose.
Yeah, the ADD in me would not allow me to put sticky notes all over my yearly calendar because I would just go bonkers. I couldn't, I couldn't handle that. So anyway,
I've taken
um,
some of the sticky notes and actually wrote them in permanent marker now that I'm moving forward, like it's definitely set.
yeah,
Like initially we were going to go to Florida in February, and then my mom
mhm,
had somebody else coming to visit. So we moved that to March. So
yeah,
until it's a done, like I know for sure we're going, I don't put it in permanent marker.
yeah. Well, remind me when we get off of here to talk to you about Florida in March. Uh,
Okay.
okay, now what the last question may take a while. All
Okay.
right. And I love this question, and I actually kind of came up with it on my own, but then I was watching a Hallmark movie the other night, and
Everything relates back to Hallmark movies for you, Tim.
oh me, I know I'm a warped individual.
Okay, I can only
What's
imagine what this question is.
okay? What's the one thing you have not done that you are scared to do that you know you want to do?
Well, this is actually a really quick answer. Get my 29 red hat.
Okay, all right, and you're scared.
Well, I've listened to every podcast that they have recorded,
Yeah,
and I believe it's like a 65% success rate.
yeah. Well,
So,
if I'm betting, I'm betting that you and Charlie both complete it. I mean, I would think that was
Thank
probably
you.
going to.
I really hope so too. It's kind of strange. Like some people have issues with nutrition. You know, they just
Hmm.
forget to eat or drink enough.
Yeah.
Some decide to go to sleep. You have 36 hours. That was the other thing I don't think I said. You have 36 hours to
Yeah.
complete this, and so some people will climb, 5 or 6 of the climbs, and then they'll say they're going to sleep for like 4 hours and either they can't wake up or
Hmm.
they are sore. I mean, so my goal is I'm not sleeping until I'm done.
Yeah. Well, and plus you do have an advantage. You have a huge
That's
advantage. Well, you got a doctor right there beside you. So if something happens, you
it.
you're in
Don't you
good
know the
hands.
story about the family doctor, the dad or mom that's a doctor? They don't even notice a broken leg. I actually had a torn tricep tendon and a shattered elbow, and I was still camping. So I'm not sure. I think there might be some other medical people there because Charlie will be doing this hike with me. He probably won't
Yeah.
be as aware, but we'll give him some
Yeah.
credit.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Well, I thought you might say like jump out of an airplane
I've
or
done that at
oh,
$18,000 feet.
that's probably what I was going to say. You've probably done that. So
Yeah,
anyway,
I did
yeah.
that. Yeah, so for me, that's our couple goal, and I mean, we both really want a red hat because that signifies, and it's kind of like I remember when I was getting ready to, well, actually, let's see, I had 2 children, Oliver and Lydia, and then Dorrit is 3 years younger, so the first two are 2 years apart, and I ran a marathon, and I remember saying to myself that I couldn't believe, like running 26.2 miles. That's a lot. I mean, I know there's
Hmm.
people that do hundreds but
Yeah.
26 miles, 26.2 is a lot. And I remember the first time I drove
Yep.
that after I ran it, I'm like, wow, how did I do that? I thought, if I could run a marathon, I can deliver a baby without any medication. I mean, like, and I did,
Yep.
and I feel that um, this Everest is the same kind of example. And I've heard other people talk about that in the podcast. What's your Everest?
Yep.
What is your Everest? And that's something to ask yourself, I think, every year. And when you get in those situations, if there's a leg cramp or weather, like, the weather could
Hmm.
be really crazy. I mean,
Yeah.
it has been like at Stratton, Vermont, they had, rain and then I think snow. And I mean, there's so many things that could happen. I don't like to think that way, but I've just listened to enough of these stories.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think just really, I want to climb that mountain and I want to
Yeah.
reach,
Yeah.
29,009.
And like most endurance athletes, you say you just want to get the red hat. And I can remember the first marathon I ran, the t-shirt and the finisher's t-shirt and the medal, first time marathon finisher medal. I thought, okay, man, that's going to be great. That's all I want.
Right.
It didn't dawn on me till after I got through. About 3 or 4 days later, I was watching or listening to a podcast, and it said, if you've ran one marathon and finished it, you're a marathon runner. And I never had thought of myself as being a
Wow.
marathon runner. And I
Exactly.
thought, so I
You are.
ran, yeah, and I did.
You've
But
run
what,
like, oh, I know what you're going to say.
yeah,
You need to do number 7. Isn't it 7?
it will be 7. And it's going to make an honest person out of me because a lot of my passwords on
I
stuff
remember you saying that is
is
7.
marathon number 7. I've not ran 7.
Well, but
So,
you've run 6 marathons, which is a lot. That's a lot
well,
of marathons.
here's what you will find out once you get your red hat. The red hat will be nice. The t-shirt will be nice. The medal will be nice. But the mindset that it will give you
Mhm.
is not something you can put value on.
Right.
Because when I ran my first marathon was something I was scared to death
Mhm.
that I was going to die before I got done. But when I finished it,
Mhm.
from then on, I thought, hey, you can do anything. and
That's exactly how I know I'll feel.
yeah.
Yep.
And so, the t-shirts and stuff are nice, but the mindset that you get by completing it, persevering
Right.
through it, anytime that you persevere through a challenge, this, you're going to be stronger on the other side.
Absolutely.
And so it's a great, it's a challenge, very hard, but here's why I know you're going to complete it. Okay? The only way you won't complete it is if they have to carry you off the mountain,
Exactly.
you know?
It's true, right.
And here's what I'll say, and I know this, even though we've only met virtually, we're gonna
We
meet,
will,
but
yes.
they'll carry Charlie off the mountain, but Robin's gonna keep going,
I know.
and you know that, and he
I
knows that,
do,
and they may
exactly.
carry Robin off the mountain, but Charlie's gonna keep going. You know that.
That's
So
right. We're a
so
team. We're doing this together. It will I just
yeah,
I can visualize
you're
it,
a
and
team to a point. Okay,
yes, I know.
I will say that because 'cause you're
Yes,
gonna finish. But here's what I was gonna say, you're gonna finish because you're gonna put in the training that it takes to build to that point.
exactly.
And this is what I'll say to anybody that's gonna start a challenge, that's gonna start anything this new year, and we're still in the new year, so it's not too late to turn your year around, obviously. But to do it, you have to get a plan and you have to do the work.
Exactly.
The event is icing on the cake because if you do the training every day, every week, like you're supposed to do it, when you get on the starting line at 29:29, you can feel confident, hey, we've put in the work. Now it's up to
Yeah.
us just to complete it. And I just know that because when I did my first marathon, I got a training program from a gal that I taught with at where the school I was the superintendent. She was a teacher. She had just completed a marathon.
Mm.
And I asked her, I was watching The Biggest Loser one night, and I told my wife, I said, I'm going to do that. They were running a marathon.
Mhm.
She looked at me and gave me the support I needed. And she said, well, you're crazy. But anyway,
She's told you
but
that many times.
yes, yes, until and continues to tell me that in a loving way. But anyway, but I asked her for her program and she gave it to me. I never missed a day.
Yep.
Rain, snow, 150 degrees, didn't matter. You
You just have
know,
to do it. That's right.
you just put in the time, put in the work. You can't complete it. You're not going to be able to get done if you don't do the work. And
Well, I
that's,
have on my door a post-it note, and it started off with 40 weeks till Snow Basin. We're at was it 30, where did we at? Like 30, was it 40 weeks? Yeah. I think it's at 30, maybe it's 30, around 30 right now. Let's see, August. Anyway, but at 20 weeks out, we get a full coaching schedule. So we've already been talking with coaches. I mean, it's such a,
yeah,
they have such experience and they know, I mean, there's uh, Brent Pease. I don't know if you know that name. He's the head coach. And when you're climbing up a mountain, your quads, your calves, you have to train them to react differently than running in Durham on the streets.
yeah,
And so that's the biggest thing, like, doing inclines on treadmills and just, wow. I'm really into birds. Sorry. I have a whole balcony of bluebirds that just landed on my
oh, man.
balcony out here. Sorry. I live downtown and have all these bluebirds at my
Yeah,
feet.
yeah,
But that's the thing. It's like we will be prepared. When we
yeah.
get there, we're
That
prepared.
was that was one of the questions I was going to ask you is how you train for going up a mountain. Do you do a lot of stair stepper, a lot of incline on a treadmill, like you said, at maximum level? And
A lot of
it,
stairs. Like Charlie, he's been on the hospital duty this week, and I think he's like over, I don't know, 12 or 15,000 steps in a day, because from going from different floors in the hospital.
yeah,
We live on the sixth floor in our building, and I take the stairs as many times as I can.
yeah.
Um, So yeah, it's
But to really train for it correctly, tell him this, that you learned this on the podcast today. He can walk up the stairs and take the elevator down.
with the gondola. That's
That's
very
right.
true.
He doesn't need to worry about going down.
Oh, he's going to love you, Tim. That's great tips.
That's the way it's going to be. That'd be
Yeah,
perfect training.
yeah,
So,
I love
yeah,
that.
yeah. All right. Well, we're gonna land this plane a little bit, and
Great.
so I'm gonna announce something I'm doing. Uh, and I
So
thought
excited to hear this, Tim.
I know I knew you would be, so that's why I waited today to let anybody know.
Okay.
Back in December, a couple of years ago, I had watched a documentary, uh, and it's called "Fat Lolly to Ab Lolly," and it is about uh, a real estate agent in New York. You can find the documentary on Netflix, Amazon Prime. I think it's a rental now, but I watched this, and it was a guy who completely transformed his body in a year. He completely went from this to that, and then he lost a bunch of weight, became a like a bodybuilder type guy, and that's where the ab lolly comes in.
Okay.
So I watched this documentary and I decided, okay, but what he did was he posted every day on Instagram and Facebook. He posted his workouts, his results. He showed
Mhm.
himself early. Every so often he'd give updates. Well, I decided a couple of years ago after I watched it, I was going to do that. Then COVID hit.
Mhm.
Okay. And I got sick, and not with COVID, but we'd come back from Florida, and I had been posting stuff for about a week, 2 weeks. Then I quit, just
Uh-huh.
quit. Well, last week, or no, last month, I decided, uh, I saw the deal on Instagram or Facebook, and I checked into it, and I decided I'm going to do that. And so, long story short, I signed up for the Radical Body Transformation Challenge,
Wow.
and I have an opportunity if I do the work, I put in the work, that I
Yep.
may be on the show.
Wow. That is Tim,
So
you
here's
can do
my
this. I love
so
this.
so what my goal is, and this is what I'm I am going to try, not try, I'm going to,
Okay.
this time next year, I will be the fittest 70-year-old male in America.
That is awesome. I support you 100%. That
Because
is so
what I've
awesome.
always wanted to do is completely transform my body from a normal to a bodybuilding, weightlifting transformation. Completely transform the way I look physically
I love
and
it.
mentally. And so, what I have been
So
doing the
I have a
last
question
week,
for you.
okay, question.
Are we
You said you
there?
had a question for me?
I might be frozen.
Yeah. Yeah, we're here.
Well, if you can hear me, Tim,
Can you
my
hear me?
question is, does Cindy think you're
All right, go
crazy?
ahead.
Yes. Does Cindy think you're crazy? Does Cindy
She
think you're crazy?
No, completely no. She's
But
completely
no,
on
she
board.
always thinks you're crazy
She's
when you do these things. So that's why I'm like, wait, if she says you're crazy, you will do it.
I know. I know. I know. I will see I've kind of been this mindset in the past, a lot of things I've done, but this is different because what I'm doing, and I started January the 2nd, and I had to send in some really ugly pictures. Uh, and I
Mhm.
sent them in, and I had to put them on the website, their Instagram
Good
page
for
in
you. Wow.
the
Yep.
group. I put them in, and so I started. Have not missed a workout yet. I have started
Awesome.
my Hallmark movie challenge every
Yep.
morning, And so if people want to know what the Hallmark Movie Challenge is, they'll have to message me because I ain't putting that out on public for public access. All right. But here's the thing. I've been doing it 4 weeks now. I've lost 17 pounds.
Oh
I
my
ha-
gosh.
I have lost 4 inches around my waist. I have
Wow.
lost three
Tim,
inches around.
congratulations.
I've lost 3 inches around my hips. My legs, my arms, and my chest have basically stayed the same.
In
I
4 weeks.
feel. Yeah. Here's the exciting part. Before Christmas, I actually thought that I had a broken bone in my foot. It hurt all the time. When I
Hmm.
changed my diet in January, within 2 weeks, the pain went away.
Wow, that's
I am
amazing.
pain free.
Wow.
I'm up to swimming now. I've swim every day. I'm up to 45 minutes every day in the pool swimming up to
Swimming
about
is so great.
2,000 yards. And
Wow.
and here's what when I joined the challenge, I actually thought, okay, yeah, that's great. I'll do it, but I'm not going to be concerned about whether I go on stage or not, and all that stuff. My mindset completely changed about a week ago, and I thought, nope,
Mhm.
if I'm going to do it, I'm going to win it.
Yep.
And so
High five. High five, Tim. High five the
I
TV, the screen.
I am
You are going to win it. So it's January 2nd of next year.
yeah, it's in January 2023 will actually.
Okay.
Yeah, and they've had 3 seasons of this. You can go on Netflix, YouTube TV, Amazon Prime. It's
Okay. I
rental.
definitely want to look at it.
You have to
Fat, it's
rent.
called Fat Lobby. Fat Lolly.
Fat Lolly to Ab Lolly.
Yeah, Lolly.
And
And who's
yeah,
Lolly?
Lolly is the real estate agent, very successful real estate agent who was really big.
So that's
And
his first name or his last name?
I I wish you hadn't asked me that because I
That's
just
okay. So
went
Fat
brain
Lolly.
dead.
I remember that. Fat Lolly to Ab Lolly. Okay.
Yeah, yeah, Google it, look at it.
Yeah,
There's
I'm very interested.
a lot of people in the challenge. I'm in I actually have a trainer,
Okay.
and the trainer, and I'm going to give her a shout out right now. I hope she listens to this, and you're going to crack up when you hear who my trainer is. My trainer's name is Jennifer Lopez.
Oh my God. How did she get so lucky to have that name?
I don't know. I'm just lucky, and she is great. She's really
Wow.
good, and but it's been great. She sends me
I am
my
so
workout
proud of
every day.
you. God, Tim, that is so great.
Yeah, I'm excited about it. Like I say, this is the first time I've put it out there publicly, and now I will start posting stuff
Because
and
how many people will you inspire by doing that? A lot. A
well,
lot.
you said you wrote the book, and I know you've got to go, and we're but you told me you wrote the book because of your kids,
Yes.
and basically, well, I'm doing this for a couple of reasons. One is, but I want to do it because I want to show people who are 60 years old or older,
Yep.
okay, that it's not over.
Right.
I turned 69 last week, and
Happy
uh,
birthday.
yeah, January 29th. Uh,
Oh, I missed it. Mine's the 19th. Shoot. Well,
yeah,
happy birthday, Tim.
thank you. But I just wanted to. And when I told the people why I wanted to join this challenge and why they told me I would have an opportunity to be on the show, it was because of my age. I wanted to show people who are 60 or older. It doesn't, you can do it if you want to.
Right.
You don't just sit and stop and say, I'm too old.
Exactly.
Because I'm going to tell you, to be honest with you, in December, there was nobody that felt worse than I did, other than
Mm.
people who had injuries or sicknesses and that sort of thing. I'm
Right.
not downplaying that. Inflammation was out of control. My weight was out
Mhm.
of control. My my mindset was out of control.
Mhm.
Uh, I didn't feel good about myself. I didn't feel good about anything. And so, I just decided, okay, I'm going to do this. And it was unbelievable how the diet, you know,
It's
no,
it's like 98% of if you could just change your diet and get rid of things that you know are not helping you.
yeah,
I
yeah,
mean, I hear that a lot in my business. Just pains go, aches and pains go away.
yeah,
Well, it's just
yeah.
it's
No
beautiful.
sugar, no gluten, no processed, very little sodium.
That's
And
great.
those are the four things and I haven't been perfect, but man, I've been conscious of it. And
And, like, it's the
so,
consistency that you've lost. You said 17 pounds
yeah,
already.
yeah, yeah, 17
That's
already. And like I say, every morning before breakfast, I'm on
you
my
work out.
elliptical machine
Yep.
every morning. Shout out to Jill Wagner. Shout out to all those gals on Hallmark TV for making my workouts. All
That's
those
right.
guys, Cameron Matheson. Man, look at me. I know all
That's
these
right.
people. I, you
Cannot
know,
wait to see your first post on social media because I know you will really inspire many.
well,
Yeah.
uh, I'm excited about where it's going. You're inspiring me because you've got 29029 is a huge challenge for you and Charlie. And I want to see you complete it. Uh,
Thank
you
you.
know, and so, we can support each other in all this that we're doing. But,
I'm
uh,
right
eh,
there for that. Well, and so I'll definitely have to come back because we'll have to talk about my book and
yeah,
success at 29029. So,
yes,
um,
absolutely.
yep. So let's plan on that.
Yeah. And don't forget to tell Charlie to ride the elevator down. He
I
doesn't need
will
to,
tell him that.
he doesn't
He
need to
will be
ride
so happy to hear that.
he doesn't have to walk. He doesn't have to walk down unless he just wants
Oh,
to. But
that's
anyway,
awesome. You're funny,
well,
Tim. Thank
Robin,
you.
it's been great. You're always a delight. You're always so inspiring when you come on here, and
Thank you.
I'm just happy. And like I say, when we get off here, I want to talk to you about Florida in
Okay.
March. But
Okay.
uh,
Well, thank you
just
for inviting me back. And I love your
oh
podcast. On my long runs, it's what I listen to
well,
because,
I
yeah, you
appreciate
need a
that,
longer
and
podcast and also just get your mind, you're learning.
yeah.
You find excellent people to interview. So thank you.
Well, I appreciate it. And so tell people before we get off, tell people where they can find you at on social media, your email address, that sort of thing, in case they want
Okay.
to reach out to you.
Sure. So social media, Instagram, Dare to Grow with Robin. And I have another one, Dare to Dream with Robin. So Dare to Grow is more health, Tower Garden related, and Dare to Dream is more my family.
Okay.
And Facebook, Robin Kimball Eisenbeis, and Eisenbeis is spelled Eisen, B as in boy, EIS as in Sam. And my website, if you'd like to purchase a tower garden, is Robin, ROBIN, like the bird, TG.com. And connect with me, and I'll make sure that you get the 10%. That can either be uh, a cash refund or towards seedlings. So
Yep.
I just want to have more people grow their own greens because I cannot wait. Tim, I'm calling you next week to see how you're doing
All right.
with your
Please
challenge,
do
but also your greens. So
keep me accountable. All your Facebook, social media stuff, Instagram, I'll put that on the notes, and people can find you. And I hope they do because trust me, they're not going to be disappointed. Just if they don't do anything else, but just follow you and see what you're doing because it's inspiring. I'll
well,
let
thank
you
you so
go.
much. All right.
I look
Appreciate it.
forward to talking to you in the future. And like I say, I just know good luck to you. Keep working hard. Keep doing what you're doing,
Thank you.
and because you're an influence. Thank
Well,
you.
I appreciate that. Thank you so much, Tim.